The Edfu temple is of tremendous importance. As you enter the temple, it's like you're going inside a book. It's literally full of texts. Every wall, every column, every room, every chamber is filled with texts. They're known collectively as the Edfu texts. What is very interesting is that the majority of the texts speak about the creation of the world.
Ever wondered what it would be like to unlock the secrets of an ancient civilization left untouched for centuries? Get ready, because we're about to explore some of Egypt's most mysterious megastructures. Egypt's ancient landscape is full of wonders straight out of legends. From temples buried in desert sands to statues that sing at dawn, these massive structures aren't just huge. They're full of mysteries that have amazed explorers for centuries. We're looking at some of Egypt's most incredible feats of architecture and the jaw-dropping secrets they hold.
Creation started with that island.
Let's start with one of Egypt's most stunning discoveries, the Temple of Horus at Edfu. 1. The Temple of Horus. This ancient temple lay buried under nearly 12 meters of desert sand for hundreds of years. People even built homes right on top of it, not knowing that an incredible structure was just below. Then, in 1798, a French expedition uncovered it, finding a temple that was almost perfectly preserved. Imagine coming across an ancient temple in such amazing condition, as if it had been waiting all this time to share its secrets. Dedicated to Horus, the falcon-headed god of the sky, the Temple of Horus is the largest in Egypt built for this powerful god. Covering around 7,000 square meters and stretching over 140 meters in length, it's more than just a building. It's a symbol of ancient Egyptian faith, skill, and artistry. The construction we see today started under Ptolemy III Euergetes Trust in 237 BCI. But it wasn't a quick project. It took nearly 180 years to complete, with each ruler adding their touch until the grand wooden doors were finally installed in 57 BCA. These weren't just any doors. Carved from Lebanese cedar, they stood at the entrance along with two giant pylons reaching 36 meters high, creating an entrance of true grandeur. Picture stepping through that monumental gate with 4 tall flagpoles around you, each one decorated with symbols that honored Horus and left visitors in awe. Inside the pylon towers, there's a maze of rooms, storerooms, and stairways leading to the temple's rooftop, almost like the temple was built to keep its mysteries hidden for ages. But what's truly amazing is how well preserved this temple is. It's not just standing, it's almost untouched, giving us a clear view into the temple design and religious practices of the Ptolemaic era. Today it's a must-see stop for tourists cruising the Nile, offering a real connection to a time when people believed gods walked among them. And if the Temple of Horus amazes you, the next site will take that wonder to new heights. 2. The Colossi of Memnon. Now, take in the site of the Colossi of Memnon, 2 massive statues standing tall, as if keeping watch over the ancient land. Each statue stands 60 feet high and depicts Pharaoh Amenhotep III, marking the entrance to his mortuary temple, which has mostly crumbled away over time. Unlike the Temple of Horus, these statues weren't hidden under sand. They've faced floods, earthquakes, and centuries of exposure, yet here they still stand. How have these giants survived while their temple didn't? Their sheer size and solid construction might be part of the answer. These statues were carved from sandstone blocks that came from over 420 miles away, near what we now call Cairo. Think about moving such massive stones over ancient paths without modern machinery. The level of dedication and resources this must have taken is almost impossible to imagine. But what makes the Colossi unique is their eerie reputation. After a major earthquake damaged one of the statues, it started singing at dawn, a haunting sound that earned it the nickname, the vocal Memnon. Ancient Greeks believed this was Memnon, son of Eos, the goddess of dawn, greeting his mother each morning. Amenhotep III ruled during Egypt's 18th dynasty, a time of wealth and major advances in art and architecture. But myths still linger, with some believing these statues had a spiritual power, bridging this world with the divine. It's hard not to feel a sense of awe standing before the Colossi of Memnon, imagining the sight that ancient Egyptians would have seen as they passed through these towering guardians. But the Colossi aren't the only place where ancient Egyptian architecture still speaks. There's a temple just down the Nile with its secrets, designed uniquely, honoring two powerful gods instead of just one. 3. Kambo. Sitting right on the Nile's edge, the Temple of Kambo is a rare gem in ancient Egyptian architecture. Unlike most temples which honor only one god, Kambo is split in half, with each side dedicated to a different deity. Imagine stepping inside and finding everything: rooms, doorways, even the carvings, mirroring each other on both sides, creating two separate yet perfectly balanced spaces. This isn't just a temple. It's a unique masterpiece designed to honor two of Egypt's most respected gods, Sobek and Horus. On the northern side, you'll find the realm of Horus, the falcon-headed god of the sky, hunting and war. Meanwhile, the southern half is all about Sobek, the crocodile-headed god of fertility and creation. To the ancient Egyptians, Sobek wasn't just a god. He also controlled the crocodiles that lurked in the Nile. Honoring Sobek was a practical choice too. It was a way to seek protection from the dangerous creatures in the river. This connection to crocodiles led to a practice that might seem strange today. The temple kept crocodiles on the grounds, and, to this day, mummified crocodiles are on display at the temple, reminding visitors of the deep bond between the people, their gods, and the Nile. The design of Kambo doesn't just show duality, it captures a sense of balance and unity that's rare even in Egypt's grand history. Each god had a separate entrance, chapel, and hall, all built to ensure that both Sobek and Horus were equally honored. Some historians think the temple was built over an older site since certain blocks were reused in the construction. This suggests that Kambo's role as a sacred spot may go back even further than we know. Kambo's double temple layout is a perfect blend of architecture and spirituality, a place where people could honor both the gods of war and fertility side by side. But as amazing as this temple is, our journey now takes us to one of Egypt's biggest architectural mysteries. 4. The Pyramid of Maum. Leaving behind the symmetrical beauty of Kambo, we now head to the mysterious Pyramid of Maum, a structure that's both a symbol of early pyramid building and a puzzle for historians. Unlike the Great Pyramid of Giza with its smooth sides, the Pyramid of Maum has a rough, incomplete look. It's as though time and nature have stripped away its outer layers, leaving only a core of 3 large steps. The origins of the Maum Pyramid add even more mystery. Experts believe it started as a step pyramid, which was common in Egypt's 3rd dynasty. But during the reign of Pharaoh Sneferu, builders tried to change the design into a smooth-sided pyramid. This shift marked a big step in Egyptian construction, but something went wrong at Maum. Most of the outer casing fell away, leaving an incomplete structure that raises many questions. Did this collapse lead Sneferu to change his approach to later pyramids? Some think that Pharaoh Huni, the last ruler of the 3rd dynasty, may have first commissioned the pyramid, though there's no clear proof. However, the fact that many of Sneferu's family members were buried in nearby tombs suggests that Sneferu played a big role in its construction. The pyramid was named Sneferu Endures, hinting at his connection to it. After part of it collapsed, Sneferu seems to have abandoned Maum and moved his efforts to Dashur, where he built the Bent Pyramid and the Red Pyramid. These later projects show new techniques that solved the issues faced at Maum. Why Sneferu built 3 pyramids in his reign is still unclear, but his legacy as one of Egypt's greatest pyramid builders is undisputed. Even in its ruined state, the Pyramid of Maum tells a story of trial and error in Egypt's early days of pyramid construction. It's a reminder of an era when rulers dreamed big, learning and adapting with each attempt. The Pyramid of Maum might be a testament to trial and error, but next, we dive into the Temple of Esna, a masterpiece that stunningly merges art and astronomy, blending Egyptian tradition with Roman flair. 5. Temple of Esna. The Temple of Esna is an amazing place that shows just how much the ancient Egyptians understood about the stars and planets. Built about 2,000 years ago and dedicated to Khnum, the ram-headed god of creation. It was started by King Thutmose III during the 18th dynasty, but wasn't finished until centuries later, during the Ptolemaic and Roman periods. This beautiful temple, located along the Nile's western bank, blends art and design in a way that connects Egyptian religion with the movement of the stars. The entry hall, or pronaos, is especially impressive. Made of sandstone, it stretches over 37 meters long and 20 meters wide, and it's held up by 24 tall columns, each decorated with unique floral patterns, a rare feature, as ancient Egyptian builders usually preferred repeating designs. This hall was built under Roman Emperor Claudius, and the carvings on the columns show a mix of Egyptian and Roman influences, with emperors shown as pharaohs making offerings to Khnum. The walls of the temple are covered with detailed carvings that tell stories of religious rituals and the local way of life. These inscriptions flow across the walls in a way that almost feels like a continuous story, and historians believe they took over 2 centuries to complete. They also show how the people of Esna viewed certain fish as sacred, calling their city the City of the Fish. Chambers near the entrance served as storage rooms for priests, keeping sacred items and supplies needed for their ceremonies. What makes the Temple of Esna so special is not only its architecture, but its role as a record of life and beliefs during a time when Egyptian and Roman cultures blended. It's a place where every carving, column, and wall tells a part of Egypt's history, looking to both the gods and the stars for guidance. And now, as we step out of Esna, we move on to another unique structure that has puzzled and amazed people for centuries: the bent pyramid, a symbol of ancient Egypt's ambition and creativity. 6. The bent pyramid. Leaving the artistic beauty of the Temple of Esna, we head into Dashur to see one of Egypt's most unusual pyramids, the bent pyramid. Built around 2600 BC for Pharaoh Sneferu, this pyramid is a symbol of ancient Egyptian experimentation and ambition. Its distinct bent shape shows the ancient builders' efforts to create a smooth-sided pyramid, even if it meant learning from trial and error. The bent pyramid, also known as the Southern Shining One, was Egypt's first serious attempt at a smooth-sided pyramid. The bottom half rises at a steep angle of 54 degrees, but halfway up, it suddenly changes to a gentler 43-degree angle, creating the bent look that gives the pyramid its name. Some evidence suggests that the pyramid began as a smaller structure with a much steeper slope of 60 degrees. However, structural instability due to the sandy ground beneath forced builders to adjust the angle midway through construction to prevent collapse. This unique pyramid may also reflect a shift in Sneferu's beliefs. He may have moved from the Pyramid of Maum to Dashur for religious reasons. Scholars think he wanted his tomb to represent not a staircase to the stars like earlier step pyramids, but a primordial mound, the place where all life began, according to Egyptian beliefs. This idea fits well with the solar cult that was growing at the time, linking the king's resting place to the sun's power and the cycle of life and creation. The bent pyramid's unusual shape led Sneferu to his next big achievement. From the ambitious design and unique shape of the bent pyramid, we move toward a humbler, yet no less impressive structure on the Giza Plateau. Here, the smallest of the 3 great pyramids holds stories of its own. Let's delve into the Pyramid of Menor, a monument with a history etched in red granite and limestone. 7. Pyramid of Menor. The Pyramid of Menor may be the smallest of the 3 big pyramids at Giza, but it's just as fascinating as its taller neighbors. Built for Menkaure, Khufu's grandson, this 65-meter-high pyramid marks the last royal pyramid of Egypt's Old Kingdom. Its design stands out, with a base of red granite and an upper section once covered in smooth white limestone, giving it a unique look. Originally, the entire pyramid was covered in smooth limestone, shining in the sunlight. Over time, though, much of this has worn away, partly because of a 12th century attempt to take it apart, leaving a big gap on its surface. Inside, Menkaur's pyramid is also more detailed than the other pyramids, with beautifully carved panels and large niches in one of its chambers. The burial chamber, lined with thick granite blocks, once held Menkaur's black stone sarcophagus, carved with intricate designs. Sadly, this masterpiece was lost at sea in 1838, while being shipped to England. Though the pyramid complex wasn't fully completed when Menkaure passed away, excavations at the valley and mortuary temples nearby revealed an incredible collection of statues. Among the most famous is a statue of Menkaure with a queen, likely one of his wives, now displayed at the Museum of Fine Arts in Boston. Other statues show the king standing beside different gods, emphasizing his divine status and his place among Egypt's gods. These statues were once arranged around the temple's open courtyard, where people would come to pay respects to their deceased king. Even centuries after his passing, Menkaur's Mortuary Temple continued to be a place of active worship. During the 6th dynasty, a devastating flood heavily damaged the structure, but it was subsequently rebuilt, preserving its legacy well beyond the Old Kingdom. Now, as we leave Menkaur's final resting place, we find ourselves at another extraordinary site, a temple dedicated to one of Egypt's most powerful rulers, the Mortuary Temple of Hatshepsut. 8. The Mortuary Temple of Hatshepsut. Built against the towering cliffs of Deir el-Bahari, this temple is a tribute to Hatshepsut, one of Egypt's few female pharaohs. Unlike any other temple of its time, Hatshepsut's temple combines grand design with clever architecture, symbolizing her unique role as a woman who ruled as a king. The temple's 3 large terraces blend perfectly with the cliffs, making it feel like a natural part of the landscape. Each level has rows of columns, creating a layered look that makes the temple appear both powerful and peaceful, almost as if it's growing out of the mountain itself. Although it wasn't meant to be her tomb, the temple was a place for her followers to honor her spirit. Its walls are covered in carvings and bright decorations that tell the story of her life and divine heritage. Interestingly, Hatshepsut is often shown as a male figure in these carvings, showing just how much she adopted the symbols of kingship to reinforce her rule. One special part of the temple is a chapel dedicated to the goddess Hathor, located on the 2nd terrace. This chapel has columns with Hathor-shaped capitals, featuring her face with cow ears and a crown that resembles cow horns. These images, along with rich colors and finely carved details, show Hatshepsut's dedication to Hathor, the goddess of love and music. Today, the Polish National Academy of Sciences oversees the ongoing restoration of the temple. The first 2 terraces have been largely restored, with work continuing on the top level. Hatshepsut's Mortuary Temple remains a stunning symbol of her reign, showcasing the impressive architecture and artistry of her time as pharaoh. Leaving the splendor and innovation of Hatshepsut's Mortuary Temple, we journey onward to a structure with a very different purpose, a temple that wasn't built for worship, but to cement a pharaoh's divine lineage. Welcome to the Temple of Seti the Warrior, a political masterpiece crafted to affirm power and godliness. 9. The Temple of Seti. The Temple of Seti the One at Abydos is more than just a religious site. It's a symbol of power and political skill. This temple wasn't just built for worship. It was designed to show that Seti the and his family were truly connected to the gods. Inside, we see statues of gods linked to death, resurrection, and the afterlife, but Seti himself is the main focus, with statues in his honor. This temple wasn't only about faith, it was a way for Seti to confirm the authority of his family, tracing back to their warrior ancestors who were raised to divine status, securing the power of the 19th dynasty. Unlike the massive temples meant to impress with size, Seti the One's temple stands out for its beauty and incredibly detailed carvings. Artists during the New Kingdom returned to the fine, detailed style of the Old Kingdom, and their work here is remarkably intricate. The temple's layout is unique, shaped like an L, and made mostly of limestone, with sandstone in some areas. Seti I began construction, but after his death, his son Ramesses II finished it, adding his style, like scenes of his battles and offerings to the gods. Ramesses' additions, like his sunken reliefs, are different from his father's work, giving the temple a mix of both their styles. Visitors enter through the remains of a large gate and step into a first courtyard, which has worn down over time. A staircase ramp leads to a grand hall of pillars and a second courtyard, where Ramesses II's victory at the Battle of Kadesh and scenes of offerings to the gods are displayed. Another staircase brings us to the heart of the temple, where 7 large gates open into the hypo-style halls. Here, 12 pairs of sandstone columns with bud-shaped capitals form a majestic colonnade, while scenes of Seti the Waichin honoring the gods decorate the walls. This grand temple, with its detailed artwork and imposing design, allowed Seti the Baal and Ramesses II to showcase their family's power and divine connection. It's a powerful reminder of how religion and politics were deeply linked in ancient Egypt. Now, From Seti II's legacy, we shift our focus to another remarkable monument, the mysterious Black Pyramid. 10. The Black Pyramid. While the Temple of Seti, I made a statement of power, the Black Pyramid in Dashur is surrounded by mystery and intrigue. Built by Pharaoh Amenemhat III in the 19th century BCE, the pyramid is named for its dark appearance, caused by centuries of weathering. Standing about 75 meters tall, the Black Pyramid was once a symbol of strength, though now it stands in ruins, offering a haunting reminder of Egypt's 12th dynasty. Located in the Dashur necropolis, the Black Pyramid was originally a grand project meant to celebrate Amenemhat III's rule. Though much of it has eroded, some parts of the structure, including the Mortuary temple, still show columns, walls, and carvings that give insight into the architectural style and religious rituals of the time. Amenemhat III ruled for around 45 years, leaving a mark on the Fayum region with temples and large statues, like the Colossi of Memnon. Yet, even with his ambitious projects, he faced problems. Issues with the ground at Dashur forced him to build a second pyramid at Hawara later in his rule. During the Ptolemaic and Roman periods, Amenemhat III was worshipped as a god in the Fayum, and his unique statues became symbols of his dedication to the region. His first attempt, the Black Pyramid, gives us a valuable look at the bold but sometimes risky architectural choices of ancient Egypt. Even in its ruined state, it reminds us of the challenges that came with building on unstable ground and facing centuries of wear and tear. From the mysterious allure of the Black Pyramid, we shift our gaze to a more vibrant and celebrated structure, the Luxor Temple, a place of ritual and reverence, where pharaohs sought to unite with the gods and seal their right to rule. 11. Luxor Temple. In the heart of Luxor, near the banks of the Nile, stands one of ancient Egypt's grandest achievements, the Luxor Temple. Built primarily in honor of the god Amun, Luxor Temple served as the backdrop for the coronation of many pharaohs, marking it as a sacred site where rulers solidified their connection to the divine. Constructed mainly from sandstone, the temple reflects the influence of various Egyptian rulers, including Ramesses II and Amenhotep III. Ramesses II's unmistakable mark is visible in the towering statues of himself that once flanked the entrance, though today, only one of the original two massive obelisks remains in Luxor. The other was transported to Paris and stands in the Place de la Concorde. Upon entering the Luxor Temple, visitors pass through the Great Colonnade Hall, a breathtaking corridor of towering columns that appear as if they are papyrus stalks reaching for the heavens. While time and history have eroded parts of the structure, the temple's scale and architectural precision remain astonishing. Originally, the temple consisted of a large peristyle court and a complex of halls and chambers. Among these is a shrine honoring Alexander the Great, adding a layer of cross-cultural reverence to the site. The Grand Colonnade, with its 14 majestic columns soaring 16 meters high, was likely intended to form the central nave of a hypostyle hall. Ramesses II expanded the temple with an outer courtyard that featured colossal statues of himself, set between pillars in a double colonnade. His ambitious additions included a monumental pylon adorned with scenes from his festivals and battles in Syria, celebrating his victories and reinforcing his power. In front of this pylon, the colossal statues and obelisks stand as silent witnesses to the grand rituals that once took place here, immortalizing the legacy of one of Egypt's most influential rulers. So, which of Egypt's ancient wonders would you want to see up close? Let us know in the comments. And if you're as captivated by ancient mysteries as we are, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. We've got even more incredible discoveries coming up that you won't want to miss. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next adventure back in time.